LA Kings, chicken wings, onion rings, don't matter. Leafs in 5. That's what producer Vic has said in the chat here tonight, following a tale of two games here, really, for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There was the first 40 minutes, which we will dive into, and we'll talk about everything that went on in the first 40 and my thoughts on that. And then there was the last 20 and what transpired in the last 20 to get to a 3-1 victory that saw 3 goals scored by the Maple Leafs against an LA Kings team that's really good on home ice, getting really good goaltending, has really tough defense, and I mean, on top of even just the really good goaltending in general, it was Darcy Kempe of the goalies who has been unbelievable himself coming into this game, allowing just over 1 goal a game in his last 9 leading up to this one here. I mean, it's hard to say here tonight it's a tale of two teams or a tale of two games when we also consider the fact that it was like the Leafs played really well. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner didn't for 40. And then Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner showed up for the last 20 and they won 3-1. Which is like one of the saddest states that we could kind of be in about this team, and one of the biggest big picture kind of statements that we can make about these guys, and one of the reasons that myself and producer Vic and those of you in the chat for the most part have frustrations and concerns about the group long term or going into playoffs, that kind of stuff. Like a game like that where you look at 40 minutes of one thing without 34 and 16 and 20 minutes with them, and you look at how things flip-flop from one to the next, that's what causes concern. We'll break it all down here tonight, along with our best bets, our grade of the game, our play of the game, maybe some calls if people want to call into the show here. It's all a presentation of Bet365. Thank you to our friends at Bet365. I mean, we'll dig into our best bet later on, but yeah, every show here on the network this season, pregame, postgame, presentation of Bet365. But yeah, a lot to get to. We kind of dig through some of the most important stuff here tonight, but let's not beat around the bush. Let's get to the major story. Through the first 40 minutes here tonight, this was the where is Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner game. And one of the things that I was like going to put my head through a wall about through the first 40 minutes was it's the same conversation again. Why would we expect Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner to take over a game? It's Phil Deneau on the other side. Oh, it's a tough defensive centerman and tough defensive matchup. So you might as well count them out. They've got no shot. And that's what happened through 40 minutes. And I was ready to come on here after the game, and I was ready to have this conversation about, like, where the fuck are these guys, and how are you expected to win hockey games if they go AWOL? And then all of a sudden in the last 20, they dig their heels in, and Austin Matthews decides we are not losing this game. I mean, this is a guy who struggled with goal scoring, point production this season. He still looked really good. It was Mike Kelly from the NHL I was looking at. He put out a stat during the game the other day, and it kind of gives a lot of the answers because you can see Matthews is playing well, but his takeover factor is not really there. It was about his mid-range shots and the chances created and the opportunities he's having and just the lack of capitalization he's had. Well, his mid-range shots are on average 10 miles per hour slower than his shots in mid-range to last season. Like, that's a big drop-off from one of the best goal scorers in a prime opportunity. 10 miles per hour slower. No doubt you're not going to beat goaltenders at the same rate. But you can still find a way, if you are worth $13.5 million, to impact the game positively even without scoring. Coming into this third period here, he had not done so tonight. Honestly, there was points where I was looking around wondering if we needed to get a search party to find 16 and 34. They might have been tied up in Marlowe and Thornton's basements after their dinner when they had to skip practice the other day because they just still had not shown up to the game here tonight. And then you go into that third period, right off the opening puck drop, those guys came ready to play. I mean, kudos to them for turning it on and for finding that extra gear and for digging down deep and being like, we gotta go. We got to figure this out. We got to get going. I don't know if it was someone in the room read them the riot act, if it was Berube, or if old Mitchie pulled up his phone and was checking Twitter and seeing what was being said about him. But, I mean, there was nothing from those guys for 40 minutes. The final 20, they decide they're going to play hockey, and all of a sudden it's a different game. The Kings are on their heels. The Leafs are carrying play. You're watching dangerous chance after dangerous chance. Now, mind you, one thing that I want to kind of pump brakes on and point out is those were not 5-on-5 for the most part there at the end. And a lot of the domination came to start it was shorthanded, but then it was 4-on-4 and the 4-on-3 and 5-on-4s that were coming up there in the third period. There was a lot of special teams hockey that happened, especially early on in that third period where those guys were on the ice a lot. But they still showed up. They still were ready to go right from the jump in the third period. As positive as that is, there is this element of being like extremely frustrated that has to even be a storyline tonight, because guess what? You're paid $13.5 million and $11 million. And you want to come up to the free agency period this year, and you want to be the highest paid player in the league. You want to get that max contract. And yet these guys will just sleep for 40 minutes a night. Again, impressed that they showed up in the third. Impressed that they got this win and they responded, they battled back, and you jump back to first in the Atlantic. Those are all positives. There is an element of frustration to the first 40 minutes. And, you know, I've rarely seen an illustration like this to the point that myself, producer Vic, Nick and Rosie at times there as well, and a lot of people in Leafs Nation have kind of discussed over and over again where, like, so often I go online in a game like this and, you know, and especially it's the calculator community, they want to go on there and be like, well, this is why you got to build scoring in your bottom six and bring back Kyle Dubas so you can fill out the bottom of the roster with Alex Kerfoots and Nick Petans because they're the ones who have to score. But, you know, you watch the first 40. That's a good hockey game. That third line looked good here tonight. Scott Lawton, he looks like he's coming into his own. Max Domi was finding ways to be impactful. I don't know that Calle Jarnkrok is the solution for the third line right winger. I probably would not keep him there again. I would rotate through that. But, I mean, you look at the way that thing started, and you look at the first 40 and how guys were playing from top to bottom. Bobby McMahon was your best player in the first period. Your second line was on fire yet again. And yeah, the goals aren't there. And we could talk about some of those things and lack of scoring, whatever. But the goals aren't there from those guys. They were on the ball through the first 40 minutes. Every time I watched Nylander, Tavares, McMahon go out there, it felt like they were creating something. They weren't spending too much time in their own zone. They looked pretty good in transition. There was a lot of positives going on. You know, you were basically winning or washing out the remainder of your minutes. That's a pretty good sign. You know, those goals will come. But again, that's the same storyline that shows up in the playoffs. Okay, the other guys wash out the other lines, or they lose but one goal here or there through your third or your fourth line. Well, where is 34? Where is 16? A lot of times, they're on the beach already. A lot of times, they're at the club with Justin Bieber already. They're calling it quits on the game against the Kings. It felt like through 40, that's what they were going to do again here tonight. And then, the third period. If those guys do that kind of stuff in the playoffs, if they show up like they did in the third period, not the first 40, you are going to have a chance to win in the playoffs. What they did in the first 40 is basically what they do every year in the playoffs. And we got to watch it unfold and have two different sides of the story in one game. From first 40 to the last 20. The first 40 was who they are in the playoffs. The last 40 was something completely different. And the rest of the lineup played pretty damn well. Stolarz on his game. Small Benoit, big blunder there. But the rest of the D, I thought were decent. Morgan Riley actually was activating into the offensive zone pretty well. He's not getting burned too badly in the defensive zone. Looking like he's kind of contributing to some offense there. The rest of the defense, you're getting what you expect out of Tanev, out of McCabe, out of OEL for the most part there. Brandon Carlo looked pretty good. Big fight in the first period too. Like, that was some playoff style hockey, and everyone else in your lineup started to fit into that style. Where's the scoring? Well, it's got to come for your big boys. 34 and 16 pulled the playoff act in the first 40, and then they found something else in them in the last 20. And that is what I look at in the game like this. That is a positive sign and also a massive frustration here for me. Let's get to some of the super chats that we've got here in the chat and see where everybody else is at. What you guys are thinking. We'll read some of the chat. We'll read what your questions, comments, what you guys thought was good, what you guys thought was bad about this game here tonight. I want to hear all of it. Let's see what we've got. First of all, with our first super chat, and this one's going to come from So Sangnam. By the way, just a reminder, we have a super chat charity partner here on the show this season. If you didn't know already, well, hopefully you get it here now. Proceeds from our super chats go to Sick Kids Charity. We have an awesome partnership this year. You guys want your question or your comment answered here on the show. You want your thoughts read, or you want me to answer whatever it is that you have to say, fire them away in the chat there. I will answer every single one that comes in, and proceeds from the super chats do go to Sick Kids. Let's get to the first one on the show here tonight. So Sangnam, this was a fairly even game overall against a good team on a good run. What we saw was what we were used to in the first half of the season. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, for basically like the style of play, the type of hockey that was going on out there, the goaltending that you got from Stolarz here tonight as well. This was, for the most part, this type of hockey that we looked at earlier on in the season and said, you know what? This is a positive sign for playoffs. Tight hockey, harder and heavier on the forecheck. I felt like they were pretty good defensively here tonight. I mean, even through the first 40, when you were down to the Kings there, 1-0 going into the third, you were still winning on the deserve to win meter. You were still winning on high danger chances and expected goals. Like, you were taking it to them in those areas and limiting opportunities against. Your penalty kill looked pretty good there. Like, there was just a lot going on from this Leafs team that we did see earlier on in the first half of the season that basically started to disappear kind of after Christmas, into January, into Four Nations, and then was not just disappearing, gone coming out of Four Nations break. Like, gone. They have not really been able to find it for sustained periods, or for a full 60 for that matter, even when they have been able to find it. This game, I mean, it's hard to say because if you look at Matthews and Marner here tonight, those guys did not play full 60. The rest of the team, I thought, was very good throughout start to finish of this game. I thought this was a good, strong game from the Maple Leafs here tonight. And if it's not for the big boys finally climbing back and showing up in that third period and showing that they deserve to be paid $13.5 and $11 million respectively, you're not going to win this game tonight. I don't care. You're just not going to win this game. They kicked it into overdrive come third period, and it was them who showed up, and it was them who got things going, and that's what you need in the playoffs. Like, Phil Deneau is great. I get why he gets the respect he gets, and I say this with all due respect. Like, I say this because he is a very good player. Fuck Phil Deneau. You make $13.5 million. You make $11 million. If you're going to get shut down because it's like, oh, here's this tough defensive forward matchup, fuck off. Give us your money back or go somewhere else. But third period, they come out rocking. And it's like, well, you could do that all the time. You have that in you. That is a capability of yours. thought it was a real good game from this Leafs team, and I thought the way they opened things up was real positive here tonight. And I thought that, basically your second, third, and fourth lines tonight were pretty solid. The first line, specifically Matthews and Marner, did not show up until the second period. So kudos to them for finding it in them and getting to that later on in the game. Tough to see that happening off the open there. I mean, 4 o'clock start time, maybe a local fucked them up or something, but I'm taking some heat here in the chat, and I'll just say his name because I'll have a hissy fit if I don't. It's 6 1/3 is freaking out that I'm calling this out. I thought this was a great game by everybody other than Matthews and Marner until the third period. I thought it was. I thought this was a real strong game from the Maple Leafs. And even if they lost this one, there was not much negative I was going to take away from the game other than a couple of the interesting penalties that were called or taken. But it would have been Matthews and Marner. Those would have been the big storylines for me coming out of this game if they didn't do what they did in the third period. This is a solid game from the boys. Thank God Matthews and Marner showed up in the third because that's what puts you over the top, and that's what they're paid to do. I see not see what happened there. So hopefully everyone is all right in that one. Apparently a stoppage in play. Hopefully whatever it is all right and taken care of. Obviously you don't want to see bad any health scares or anything like that taking place. But let's get to it right now because I do see the comment in the chat that gets popped up here. So let's go to this from Francesco Pinto, and let's go to our best bet segment, recap what happened there, because for me, this is going to kind of just play into some of the conversation I was already having about the team and, how things played out for the Leafs here tonight and what we saw earlier on. But let's get to our best bet segment here in a moment. Looks like a fan got hit in Edmonton is what it says. Well, hopefully everyone involved there is okay and it's not too serious. But for those wondering who are here in the chat right now, asking what happened, sounds like a fan got hit. All right, let's get to our best bet segment. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION, NATION, all caps, NATION, to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. So the reason I'm jumping to this now is because it is a bigger part of my storyline of what happened here in the game tonight and how I feel like this thing played out and kind of the result that you got and something that I was looking at going into it, expecting to be the case, and kind of actually just ends up actually being the case here tonight. The second line, really good again. Second line, very good again. And they've been your best line for probably the last 2.5, 3 weeks here now. John Tavares, year 8 of his contract, or year 7, of his contract. We all thought that at the end, that money that was signed for might have been a tough pill to swallow. And to an extent, it's been a little bit more difficult. You look at the money and what you see from his legs and the spark or the explosiveness. It's not quite there. It's not like he's always been the fastest, best skater in the world, but just another awesome season from John Tavares where it feels like it does not matter how old he gets. He fires on that amulet and he's able to produce. And yet another game here tonight to just continue this unreal streak, especially following Four Nations for Johnny T, where he's racking in points, racking in goals, And Johnny T Cash is our best bet here tonight, plus 260 anytime goal for John Tavares. That would be $130 in profit for us here on the show. That cashes 3 straight best bets, bringing us to $791 in profit. $7.91 in profit, or 91 units in profit on the season. I mean, Johnny T has been absolutely dialed. That second line has been unreal as well. William Nylander here as well, as we kind of go into this. And I mean, that guy is showing maturity mentally, physically. He's showing a change in his game. He's showing how he's kind of evolved and the willingness to be involved in battles as well. That line has been awesome. They've been the most reliable line to me over there, like the last 3 weeks probably. I thought that they looked great, and Johnny T Cash is our best bet here tonight. Not only does he get 1, but actually ends up getting 2. And Francesco Pinto there in the chat cashes his plus 260, which we all hopefully were playing at Bet365 because they did have the best price in market there on that one. But let's also get to our Nylander breakdown here from tonight, because I thought he was really good. I thought he was really good alongside Bobby McMann as well. The one thing that I saw that impressed me the most about anything from William Nylander's play tonight was the little pissy battle he got in with Gavrikov. You know, I get that William Nylander's never going to be a guy. Mitch Marner's never going to be a guy. Matthews never going to be a guy who's going to go out there and fight somebody and lose their minds and just go nuts and beat someone's brains in. Like, that's just not who they are. It's not what they're going to do. It's not what's going to happen. The one thing that I kind of look at and want them to be able to do, or hope that they're able to do, is show some fight. Show some pushback. You know, I lost my mind in the Florida series when Matthew Tkachuk face-washed Mitch Marner. And I got a lot of blowback on people being like, well, you think he's going to fight Matthew Tkachuk? You think that's what he's going to do? No, you don't have to fight Matthew Tkachuk. You can slash him in the knee. You could cross-check him. You could push him out of your way. Like, we've seen time and time again, Matthews and Marner just stand there and just take it. They won't push back. They won't fight back. They don't have that in them. William Nylander, as it's being pointed out by a few people here now in the chat, Debo, Pink Tulips 458, William Nylander is proving he has the dog in him. You saw that battle with Gavrikov, and it's not the first time he's done this season, and it's not the first time that he's done it over the last couple of months here. Gavrikov gives him a shot in front, starts pushing him around. He turns around and absolutely kind of like swings through at Gavrikov and be like, piss off. Gavrikov gives him a shot. Nylander comes back and gives him a shot. You don't have to fight the guy. You don't have to blow the guy up. No one expects Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares to do those things. But once in a while, you can get involved, get in the mix, get in the scrum. Somebody pushes you around, hit them back. Tell them, you're not going to push me around. You're not going to just do whatever you want to me. I'm going to fight in this. Like, I watch some of these other guys, these other superstars, and it's like, you're not going to have McKinnon back down. McDavid's not going to back down. Draisaitl's not going to back down. Sidney Crosby would never back down in some of those moments. And the big boys here traditionally do back down. You can just push back. You're not going to push me around. Because I feel like for the most part, other teams, other players that kind of play those gritty rat roles, they know Marner's not going to respond. Matthews not going to respond. And for a while there, William Nylander wasn't going to respond. But he's going to fucking respond now. Not going to punch you in the mouth, but he's going to push back. It's going to push back. I think that that's an impressive sign of maturity here. I think it shows the type of character he's got, his willingness to step up, his willingness to kind of dig his heels in. I appreciate that. Again, never going to beat people up, never going to smash people through the glass. But he's not a pushover. And I appreciate that about what we saw tonight. I saw a comment, Willie, no shots tonight. Yeah, Nylander finishes tonight's game with 0 shots on goal. But again, I thought Nylander was good in this game. I would like to see him a little bit more offensively dangerous, especially in this. But I noticed Nylander in transition. I noticed Nylander in the offensive zone, gaining the zone, whether it was maintaining pressure, if it was maintaining the offensive zone once he got down in there, if it was winning battles. Like, I saw him all over the ice making an impact on the game. I would like to see the shots. I would like to see him take over. But I did feel like Nylander looked good tonight, and I thought his line looked good especially. McMahon was taking all the shots tonight. Fuck, that's very true. Bobby McMahon, 3 shots on goal here tonight. John Tavares, 3 shots on goal. And look, Johnny T has 2 goals here tonight. McMahon finishes with 4 hits. I thought Nylander was involved, and I thought he looked pretty good. Good for him for the pushback. Let's talk about the fight that did happen here tonight. I want to make sure I hit a bunch of these bullet points in this game. Brandon Carlo. And the reason I want to do this right now is I just got a quote that came in from him. That fight with Jeff Malott. So Jeff Malott, for those who don't know, this is his second NHL game, I believe. He made his debut against Colorado on Thursday. He looked pretty good in that game. He's a tough customer. Gritty style, good size, good speed, pretty good hands. Just kind of finally now breaking through and making it into the NHL. He's from Burlington. He gets into this game here tonight. That fight against Carlo, those were some bombs that both of them were throwing. I think Malott got the upper hand on that one. Not by much. I mean, kudos to Brandon Carlo for hanging in there and staying in that one. Malott's brother is a UFC fighter. Now, obviously, Jeff Malott is not the UFC fighter. His brother Mike is the UFC fighter. But if you don't think that Jeff knows how to fight, or has been roughed around by his brother a few times when they were kids, then you're likely mistaken. David Alter tweets this out. Carlo asked if he was aware that his opponent's brother is a UFC fighter. Carlo says, not at all, but knowing that information, I'm thankful I'm not knocked out right now, so that's good to know, and I'll definitely do a little bit more research next time. Yeah, that was the one when I saw that fight was going and I saw it was Malott. I'm like, whew. This one could go sideways depending on how Carlo handles this thing, because it's like with those guys, it's not one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, he's just going to overpower you, but he probably just knows ways to hit you that you have no idea you could be hit by. And Malott was fucking swinging on. I mean, good for Carlo. I thought Carlo did pretty well, but JS there. Malott was throwing bombs in that one. And, yeah, I mean, good on Brandon Carlo for hanging in. I thought it was a pretty good tilt. I thought it was energetic. And I thought Carlo came back out and looked pretty great. And JS there. Carlo was laughing in the box. Yeah, the clip that they showed of them was all-time Why You Love Hockey too. I mean, these guys go out there. It was the second time on that shift that they kind of had gotten into a little bit of a pushing match. It wasn't just them. It was everyone else on the line, but it goes to the front of the nets in front of Stolars. There's a little bit of a push. There's a little bit of a pushback from Carlo. They kind of get into it, and then all of a sudden, Carlo sheds his gloves. Malott drops his there too. These guys stand toe-to-toe and just throw big boy bombs back and forth. They go to the box. Malott gives him a thumbs up and a smile. Carlo looks over at him. We'll never know what they said there. Looks over at him, smiles, and then they both just start laughing. And the camera's showing both of them in the box laughing and just talking. It's like, that's why hockey is the best sport in the world. You go out there, you fight for your team, you fight for your goaltenders, you fight for the logo on your chest, you physically throw punches, you go to the box, and it's just mutual respect. This is what we have to do for our teams to win hockey games, to stick up for our teammates and our goaltenders. This is what we do. And then they go to the box, little sign of respect. How do you do? Little laugh, smile, thumbs up, keep it moving. Crit Commanda, Carlo got the worst of it. Yeah, I would agree. But I don't think he got his shit rocked. Okay. What else do we want to get to on the show here tonight? 32 minutes in. We have almost 50 likes here on the stream. I want to remind people, for every 50 likes we get, we'll do the smelling salts. 50, 100, 150, 200. And usually, especially in the playoffs, it pushes up here, and you guys get me to do it 3, 4, 5 times on a show. We're almost there here in the regular season. We are getting real close to the playoffs. So unlike the Leafs, where they usually turn it on in the playoffs, game 1, I want to ramp this thing up here now on the post-game show, and on the morning show for that matter. Let's get things rolling. Let's get the likes up here early. Let's get to 100, 200, a regular season show. Let's push pace on these. Let's send these things around. Let's hit that subscribe button right here, Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Let's get our numbers up, because I don't want to be going into playoffs trying to do what the Leafs do and turn it on overnight. Let's keep it moving. Let's get ourselves in playoff form. We do hit 50 likes here on the stream. Let's keep it going. Let's get to 100. Why not? Thanks for everyone for liking it. Yeah, I don't know what I'll do at 300 likes. Probably not that, Crit Commanda. But yeah. HK Chinese Canadian. Tonight's game was Brandon Carlo making an impact, just like what Lawton did the game before. I thought Carlo did look pretty good tonight, but I don't think this is any different than what we've seen out of Brandon Carlo really over like the last couple of weeks, especially. I mean, the first couple games were, he was okay, not unreal, but okay. Since then, he's eased in. He looks more comfortable. I think he's looked a lot better. Thanks for liking. Here's for the 50 likes, the smelling salts. All right. There you go. Dr. Firewater, start offering double salts, and it will create a second account just to like again. Not going to do that. Okay, let's talk about the other thing that I wanted to mention. I kind of threw it in there when I opened the show up and was talking big picture. Tough. That's a tough penalty for Domi to take there. I thought it was a little ticky-tack. I can't dispute the call itself, because I do think it was fair for them to call the hold. I just thought it was a bit of a ticky-tack call. It's tough because I know Domi is probably under a microscope here a little bit, given the penalty that was taken at the end of the second period against San Jose on Thursday night that was. So he's kind of probably a little bit feeling it, like, I can't take another dumb one or another offensive zone penalty like 200 feet from the net. You don't want to take those ones. That one was a little bit like, where he gets it. He's hitting a stop back. He's trying to go the other way after losing the puck. I thought Kopitar's stick was just kind of under him. I think he probably pinched it a little bit, but to call it a hold or to blatantly be like, oh, that's a penalty, I think is a little soft. Regardless, I get it. I get why the penalty came. You keep it moving from there. I just wanted to point that out because I thought that third line was really good. I thought Scott Lawton specifically was very good. I thought Max Domi looked good here again tonight. I don't know that Calle Järnkrok fits in on that third line. I don't know that he's a guy who complements what Domi and what Lawton do very well. He kind of is more like a skill guy. He's got some speed. He can get up the ice well, but it's not like he's a big body. He's not going to play a physical brand of hockey, a heavier, harder forechecking game. I think you'd prefer to have somebody on that line who can do so. Now, I mean, saying that, it was Nick Robertson who was playing there before. He's the one who comes out of the lineup tonight, and The one thing I'll give Robertson credit for is he was going a million miles an hour every single time he was on the ice. And a lot more recently, Nick Robertson has been playing a more physical, heavier game. Take that with a grain of salt when I say that, or like filter that one through the coffee shaker, because I say that relative to his own game, but he did bring that. I would say that Yarncroke probably brings more skill. I don't know. Robertson probably has more skill. I would say that Yarncroke can probably finish a little bit better. I just don't know that I'm not trying to like say Robertson should be the guy who goes in there. I'm just more so saying I don't think that Yarncroke is a fit perfectly for that line. That said, that third line looked good tonight. I thought everyone who was jumping on Scott Laughton, like those in the chat coming here and saying it's the worst trade the Leafs have ever made, I think are eating shit on that one after the last couple of games. Watching Scott Laughton get himself more comfortable in this lineup, more adjusted to the system, what Berube's asking, probably the locker room here as well. I think he's looked a lot better. I think that Laughton has fit in a lot more over the last couple. He looks more comfortable. Yeah, it's been a rough go for Laughton, but I think he's figured it out here a little bit more lately. Robertson didn't play, LOL. I know, I'm not talking about Robertson playing here, but that third line was good. The fourth line, here or there, I thought they did some good stuff. I thought there was some moments where, holy crap, they did not do anything. You look at the expected goals chart here tonight. They basically were a complete wash on the game, which is kind of hilarious. I mean, you have to scroll right to the bottom to the 0. This is, again, courtesy of Money Puck, so shout out to Money Puck for putting this together. I think it's some great stuff. I mean, I always check on it just to see where things are at. Here is what you have right now for your expected goals chart tonight. Steven Lorentz, 0%. David Kampf, 0%. Pontus Holmberg, 8.66%. Okay, so Pontus Holmberg had 0.01 expected goals for, and he had 0.12 expected goals against when he was on the ice. Lorentz, 0.14 against, 0.4. David Kampf, 0.14 against, 0.4. That goes to say they basically did nothing in their minutes. The fourth line of the other team did not, or whoever they were playing at the time when they went out there, did not get anything going, but they did nothing themselves. It was wash. It was nothing. It was nada, zip, zero. Empty calorie hockey. Get out of it, though. Here is our deserve to win meter of the night while we're on this topic. Deserve to win meter, 69.2%, 30.9% for the LA Kings. That is for our friend Mario Kart. So when everyone else comes out later and says, or when Mario Kart comes out later and asks everybody where it is and if I've done it and why I haven't done it yet, yada, 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 you can tell them, I've done it. I did it. It was there. This is, again, what I'm talking about with the chart and stuff. It was like the Leafs played really well here tonight. If they didn't get contributions from the first line, Matthews and Marner specifically, you're not winning this game. You're just not. What else do we got here in the chat? Gorgeous Hammer. That's playoff hockey, dude. What do you expect against such a good defensive team as LA at home? I mean, if this is what we're talking about again, and we're talking about playoff hockey and inability to score goals, no fuck, Gorgeous Hammer. These guys can't figure out how to score when it matters the most. They can't figure out how to score when games get tight and playoff hockey starts becoming more prevalent. Heavy hockey, tight hockey. They can't do it. That's why the first 40, you were losing. They all of a sudden decided to show up in the last 20. You win the game. Let's go to... I'm trying to think. Let's go to some of our... we'll go to our segments in a second here. Before I go to the segments, 2 things I want to point out. 1, the Leafs got incredibly lucky on that Austin Matthews goal. That was a high stick. I am shocked that they didn't overturn it. The officiating was all over the place tonight. I thought there was inconsistencies within the game from start to finish. That Austin Matthews goal, as happy as I am to get it and to tie this thing up because of how well they played to start the third period and the momentum that they came out with and were creating there and just kind of what they were able to build on after that, that was a high stick. The puck was head height and he hit it with the top of the blade. I could have sworn that was a high stick. I'm shocked that they didn't overturn it. I'm glad that they didn't because, you know, it ties the game up there. It gets things started on the right foot for this Leafs team in that third period. But holy shit, I thought that was lucky. I mean, if there's LA fans who are going to watch this or are watching right now, you guys can point out if there was calls that were missed or that you didn't like. I've got no problem with that. The only other call that I just cannot understand, and I do not get how it wasn't called. I mean, we got one that went our way, so I shouldn't be complaining because everything, you know, sorts itself out. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was tripped. I don't think that play by Adrian Kempe is malicious. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think it was, you know, with any sort of like... I just don't think he meant to go out and take out OEL's legs. I think he tried to hit him. OEL was getting out of the way. He's in full speed. He's in stride moving up the ice. Moves to the side, and Kempe takes out his legs. 99 times out of 100, that's a penalty. Again, I'm not going to complain here tonight, and it's not going to change the course or the direction of the game, and the Leafs win this one, so all those things like are positive things about this one tonight. I don't know how you watch that one. I don't know how you see that play take place 3 feet away from the referee in the neutral zone while the guy is carrying the puck, and you don't call that a trip. Like, I'm not looking for a knee on knee. I'm not looking for any, 5-minute penalty, nothing like that. But you took the guy's legs out. He tried to sidestep you, and you took his legs out. It's a trip. Like, I don't get that. I get it's a fast-paced game, but holy fuck, if you can't see that as an official, if you can't make that call, maybe you shouldn't be out there. Maybe the speed is too fast. That was a penalty. You got a guy going through the neutral zone who gets his legs taken out by another player's legs. That's a trip. It's a trip. I thought that was a missed call. Those are the only 2 I really had any issue with. I thought that there was some, I thought that there was some frustrating stuff, probably both ways, or missed calls, whatever. But that was the only ones that I was like, wow. The Matthews one was a lucky no overturn. I thought it was a high stick, and I thought OEL got tripped on the Kempe step up in the neutral zone. I mean, he goes to hit him. OEL steps to the side, takes out his legs. That's a penalty. That's a penalty. Okay, let's get to our final stuff of the night here. I don't have any other real things that were sticking out of this game for me. Anything else that I wanted to kind of jump on or really point out? I thought Stolarz was really good. I thought you were pretty good defensively. You didn't give LA too much here tonight. you played really well at your 40, and then it was all of a sudden 34-16. They decide to get rocking. Wow, now all of a sudden you've got a shot to win the game. Surprise, surprise. Like, shocking how that one works. Let's get out of here with our final couple of segments. Let's start off with our play of the game here tonight. Mike Batson says, Leafs were outplayed. Stolarz was the difference. I don't think so. I thought that the Leafs played really well tonight. Play of the game for me. I think my play of the game is the Matthews goal. You're lucky to get away with that one, which I did think was a high stick, but I thought the play of the game was the Matthews goal. It's more so because of what led into it, and then the fact that you're able to capitalize. You're shorthanded to start the period, which is always tough to start with the power play because there's no momentum that gets built. You're coming in kind of cold. You're having to start like that. Like, it could just very easily get flipped and go the other way. Matthews and Marner came out flying on that penalty kill right away. Matthews gets off to the breakaway. Good hustle to recover the puck. The Leafs end up with it in the O-zone. And then as Matthews circles back out high, and as he's coming back in up top, and Jake McCabe hits him with that pass there. First of all, underrated, sneaky little part of this is him receiving it on the outside or on the inside of the ice, which is far outside his body. He makes a one-touch pass to himself that goes through his legs out the other side that he then picks up and is able to kind of take out wide. The reason that thing is so sneaky and so needs to be appreciated is because if he receives it over on his left side and he goes to bring it across the front of his body, it's more likely than not that I think it's Kevin Fiala in that chance who's out there defending him is going to get a stick on it, can get his body on him, can break up that play, stop the puck, stop the pass. But him receiving it outside and one touch passing it to himself out to the other side basically keeps it away from Fiala, means Fiala can't put a stick in there because he could potentially trip Matthews at that point, could get inside, could get hooked up on him, anything. It also means he can't reach, because if he does reach and he goes out like that and goes to stop the puck as Matthews does that play and it comes out the other side, Matthews could beat him with speed, which kind of ends up being what he does. Like, Fiala tries to break up the play and Matthews gets a little bit of a step on him. As Matthews goes down the lane to the net, makes a nasty little sneaky play there too that goes under Fiala's stick, kind of around him on the inside. Not a full stick handle. There's no toe drag or anything. It's just a soft little one touch that gets under Fiala's stick. He gets inside and he beats Kempe 5-hole. It's a quick shot. It's a fast shot. It's a sneaky release there. He's driving down to the lane, and then it ends up being the tying goal. That's the catalyst for an unbelievable third period. I thought that was a great goal, a great play by him. I thought it was a great way to start the period, and it comes off of just an awesome start to the game for start to the period, for those two guys. Two guys who had been sleeping here tonight for 40 minutes. Two guys who would have taken the brunt of this loss had that not gone their way in the third period there. I mean, just a great rebound from Matthews and Marner that ends up helping them win this game here. So I think those guys deserve a lot of credit for this one. I thought they were very, very good in the third period, and coming out of the second intermission and scoring like that, kudos to them. Shout out to them for finding a way to get that done. All right. Let's get to our final segment of the night here. Let's get to our grade of the game segment. And our grade of the game segment is presented by Greta Bar YYZ. You guys send your grades in the chat. I want to see what you're thinking, how you're feeling about this one here tonight. Grade of the game is presented by Greta Bar YYZ. Amazing street food options that they've got. Possibly head down there tonight myself once we finish up this post-game show. It's never too late to head on over to Greta Bar YYZ. Amazing street food, arcade, games that they've got in there. Weekly drink specials. 590 King Street West, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. Make sure to head on over to Greta Bar. Let's get to our grade of the game here, and I'm seeing a bunch of people in the chat firing theirs out. I think I'm going to go with an A. I'm going to kind of copy Fish Gypsy Films' logic on this one, and I'll explain it. I wouldn't have been afraid to give them an A+ tonight if 34 and 16 showed up from the jump. If they didn't wait to play until the third period, this is probably utter domination from the beginning. And I'm not saying like you blow them out 6-7-0. I'm just saying this is more like it feels in control. Because I watched this game and thought the team played really well, but seeing it trend in the direction of inability to score, chances not being too dangerous in the beginning, and basically only watching 3 lines because Matthews and Marner were kind of just out there for a skate until the third period, that's when it gets concerning because that's what they do in the playoffs. Your goaltending was unbelievable here tonight. Anthony Stolarz, .972 save percentage. He makes 35 saves on 36 shots. The goal against, I mean, I'm not going to blame Stoley. You look over, the Leafs only get 26 shots on net here tonight, but LA's defense is very good. It's very tight. We've talked about that. We know that. You go 1 for 4 on the power play, which is kind of a misleading stat a little bit because some of the power plays were abbreviated. It's kind of like the same thing the other way. You go 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. Some of those were abbreviated. They're 10, 15, 20 seconds. They're not a full one. There's some weird power play penalty kill stuff that happens there tonight, but you do score on one. You know, we talk about all the time, like, can the power play get going and contribute when it's tough to score at 5-on-5? In the playoffs, that's one of the big things where the power play is always falling off. Can they find a way? Can they generate? Can they be consistent? Well, I think that that's a step in the right direction there when you do that in a game like this. It was tough to score at 5-on-5. You get a goal on the power play. That's like, these are things you need to be able to win in the playoffs. That's something you got there here tonight. I think that this was a good game. I thought the third line looked good. The fourth line did not lose their minutes or was not like brutal. They just did nothing. So it's like, whatever. It's a wash. It was basically a net zero. First line, first period, second period, nowhere to be found. Third period, they finally got it going. Like, good for them for showing up here tonight. You probably lose this game if they don't do that in the third period. You're just not generating anything. It's an A for me. If those guys showed up from the beginning, I would have given this thing an A+. That's going to do it for me here on the post-game show. I appreciate everyone who watched here tonight, who subscribed to the channel, turned on notifications, liked the stream. Let's get those likes up here tonight. Let's continue those. We will be back tomorrow for a game preview video that'll be coming out, breaking down tomorrow night's game against Anaheim Ducks. And then tomorrow night, we will be back following the game, which will be live. I mean, the game's at 8, so it'll be 10:45 p.m. Eastern time right here on this channel, reacting to everything that went on against the Anaheim Ducks tomorrow night. Thank you guys all for watching here tonight. Hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe here to the channel, Leafs Nation 401. Thanks all for watching. Thank you guys for the support. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on